The courtroom is alive with tension. The black woman seated at the defendant's table remains silent, calm. Her eyes flicker between the judge and the two cops, their smug smiles barely contained. They think they've won. They think they've framed her perfectly. But something about her presence suggests they've underestimated her. She's not just a pawn in their game. She's a force to be reckoned with, someone who has seen the dark side of the system she once believed in. There is a quiet anger beneath her calm demeanor, a woman betrayed by the very system she once swore to protect. The judge motions for the court to begin, but the woman stands, her movements slow, deliberate. She locks eyes with the judge and the room goes still. The woman stands with quiet authority, her badge now visible in the palm of her hand. "Objection, Your Honor," she says, interrupting the prosecutor mid-sentence. The shock ripples through the room, but it's the two cops who look the most shaken. Their confident expressions now tremble under her unwavering gaze. Naomi Brooks is not just a defendant. She's an FBI agent. And the truth is about to come to light, no matter how high the stakes. Naomi Brooks has always believed in justice. As an FBI agent, she's dedicated her life to exposing corruption, protecting the vulnerable, and confronting those who think they can manipulate the system. But today, her belief is being tested to its breaking point. The stakes are personal now. No longer fighting for just another case, Naomi is fighting for her very life. The courtroom is her battlefield, where the very foundation of the system she once revered is being torn down. She's been betrayed by those she once trusted. Corruption runs deeper than she ever thought possible. Naomi has nothing left to lose. She will stop at nothing to reveal the truth, even if it means dismantling the very structure she thought she'd sworn to protect. As the prosecutor reads out the fabricated charges against Naomi, each word feels like a personal attack. The charges: conspiracy to commit murder, accessory to organized crime, and obstruction of justice. These accusations are cruel and well-crafted, a setup so perfect it would ruin anyone. But Naomi isn't anyone. The room goes silent as she stands, revealing her true identity to a stunned courtroom. "I'm not just a defendant here, I'm an FBI agent." The gasp that ripples through the room is deafening. The two cops' faces drain of color, their earlier smugness vanishing. In this single moment, Naomi flips the script on her accusers. This is no longer just about framing one woman. It's a battle between truth and corruption. And Naomi has just become the truth's fiercest defender. The FBI has just entered the ring, and the corrupt officials now face an adversary more powerful than they imagined. With poise, Naomi begins laying out the evidence. First, she presents the fabricated charges against her, charges that the two officers planted as part of their scheme. She highlights the inconsistencies in the evidence, showing how the timeline doesn't align with the supposed crime. Then, Naomi brings forward the surveillance footage. The footage, initially presented by the defense as evidence of her guilt, is carefully examined by the technician she called to testify. The technician reveals that the timestamps on the footage were manipulated, cut, pasted, and altered to make it appear as though Naomi was at the scene of the crime, when, in fact, she was miles away. Next, Naomi unveils a crucial piece of physical evidence, a letter sent to her that was supposed to be a warning, but which was intercepted and used to accuse her of conspiring with criminals. She calls in the forensic expert who traces the handwriting back to one of the officers involved in the framing. Naomi's strategic use of evidence is deliberate and precise. Each piece she presents is a calculated move, turning the tide ever so slowly in her favor. The judge, once so confident in his control over the situation, shifts uncomfortably in his seat. The defense lawyer, usually so confident, nervously shuffles papers. Naomi calls in the forensic expert to back up her claims, and then the surveillance technician whose testimony slowly unravels the web of lies spun against her. But Naomi faces challenges. The defense tries to discredit the footage, arguing it was tampered with. Naomi, with a calm demeanor, counters each accusation, turning the tide against them. She's no longer just reacting. She's orchestrating a symphony of evidence that, bit by bit, dismantles the defense's lies. With each expert witness, the lies become harder to ignore. The two cops, desperate to hold on to their composure, begin to falter as Naomi's truth pulls them deeper into their own trap. The judge, realizing that the evidence is stacking against the cops, attempts to regain control, calling Naomi's credibility into question. He presses her on the legitimacy of her FBI credentials. It's a last-ditch effort to discredit her. Naomi feels the pressure as the room waits for her next move, but in that moment, she hesitates. The weight of the battle bears down on her. Will they believe her? Will the truth be enough? For a second, doubt creeps in. Is it possible that even the truth might not be enough to save her? But then she pulls out her official FBI credentials, her years of service on display for the world to see. The room goes silent. The judge has no choice but to back down. But Naomi knows this battle is far from over. Just when it seems like Naomi has the upper hand, the judge takes one final step to undermine her. He accuses her of being part of a larger conspiracy, claiming that her FBI credentials could be faked, that she's just as corrupt as the cops. The room turns cold with suspicion, and Naomi feels her resolve begin to crack. The courtroom goes quiet, the air thick with tension. The judge's words cut deeper than she expected. He's not just questioning her credibility, he's trying to destroy her completely. Will they believe the corrupt system, or will they see the truth? Naomi's heart pounds in her chest. It's not just her career anymore, it's the lives of everyone who has been failed by the system she once vowed to protect. She takes a deep breath and steadies herself. Naomi doesn't flinch. With unwavering confidence, she presents the final piece of evidence, a recording of the judge in a private conversation with one of the officers, discussing their plan to destroy her. The audio fills the room, clear and undeniable. The judge and the officer's voices drip with malice and deceit. The audio captures the judge detailing how he would falsify testimony and manipulate evidence to secure her conviction, even though he knew she was innocent. The courtroom is in shock as the corrupt system Naomi has been fighting against crumbles. The truth cannot be ignored. The evidence, the recordings, and Naomi's reputation as a dedicated agent are irrefutable. The veil of corruption is lifted, and the people who thought they were invincible are exposed for all to see. There's nowhere left for the corrupt judge and officers to hide. The system they once controlled is now exposed, all thanks to Naomi's resilience. The judge and the officers are arrested, their corrupt practices exposed for all to see. As they're led away in handcuffs, Naomi stands tall. Her gaze is resolute, but there's no triumph in her eyes. The exhaustion of the fight hangs heavy, but there's a flicker of pride for what she's achieved. This victory is a step forward, but Naomi knows that this is far from the end. The fight for justice continues, and she'll be ready for whatever comes next. There's no room for celebration. This is a battle, but the war is far from over. She's fought for herself, for the truth, and for those who have been failed by the system. As the courtroom empties, Naomi takes a moment to reflect on what she's just achieved. It's not the end. There's more corruption to root out, more battles to fight. But for today, justice has prevailed, and Naomi will be ready for whatever comes next. What do you think of Naomi's journey and her fight for justice? Did you find yourself rooting for her as she exposed the truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on her strategy and the twists in the courtroom.